SorareAndrews podcast brought to you by Sorare Data. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined as always by Andy Black, who you can find as Black on Sorare. Andy, I was looking through the chat before we started, and Sorare teacher said, I can't take the puns anymore. And I've never felt so shaken before at the beginning of a podcast because I took time to think of this one. Clearly not enough time.
Yeah, we had a couple. We had a couple that we threw around, and yeah, I don't know. It landed on this.
I mean, I'll admit I was not totally thrilled with it, and I think I told you if I don't come up with anything better than this, I'm just going with it, and that's what happened. But I really thought the fundamental move of podcast naming was using puns, and
For sure.
if it's not, then I've got to reevaluate a lot of things.
Yeah, mine are usually not appropriate, so you know.
The old Sorare After Dark titles that
Exactly.
that we need. Well, my first thought is I can't stop using the puns anyway, so I apologize to Sorare teacher. So first off, thank you to everybody who has joined us. I see Sam got in before everybody else, including Jimmer. Jimmer will not care though. He'll come in sometime in the next hour or so and say he's first. Mike Baston was second in here, so I guess Sam wins this week. But Philip McTaggart, Daniel Cooper, Red Panda, Matty Boy, Chani, J Stack, Dan Bab, everyone, Sojiwa, thank you guys very much for joining us live. I know this time is not ideal for a lot of our European watchers or listeners. I guess the listeners that get it whenever they want. But it's the time that we have this week, so thank you for everybody for joining us. I had kind of this tiers idea because there was one thing about the tiers I wanted to talk about to you, and then another thing kind of came to mind that also had to do with tiers, which just made the Tears of Joy title just seem so right. But Andy, when you saw the screenshots of the glitch earlier this week that there's going to be a tier 4, what did you think?
I thought you were going to talk about the Carlos Acevedo glitch where his head is way down here on the it's no, the tier 4 thing is great. It's been needed for a long time. I don't know if so they talked about at one point about a DNP tier, and if that's what that is, great. There needs to be one. I imagine that'll expand reward pools as they can reward these tier 4 cards that previously wouldn't have been in prize pools. So yeah, I think overall that's good news that that's coming. Although I will say I wish that there were more. I think that there really realistically should be 5, 6 tiers, something like that.
So I have some experience with certain things where you announce something and you're like, hey, we're doing this. And everyone's like, oh, that's cool, but it would be really great if you did these other 5 things. And I try to be really cognizant in reacting that way myself to other things, but that was totally what I thought too. Yeah. That I was like, oh, tier 4 is cool, but why isn't there 5 and 6 underneath it? Because one more round of tiers doesn't seem like enough. And it did make me think back to how they told us they were going to start doing, awarding DNPs. And my original thought back then was well, then people are going to complain that they're getting DNP cards. It's oh, I can't win anything because, I'm not winning anything good. But if you're winning a tier 4, then
I think what's important is that they protect both ends, the very bottom DNP tier, and then there should be a superstar tier that's just 5 guys, and I mean, we can, just the 5 best players on the platform belong in that tier, and then they can really control, I guess, first place prizes, because that's where those would go. Right. And then, but I mean, that goes with a whole, I don't want to say rework of the reward structure or system, but
it does.
Yeah, it does, and that probably needs to occur.
Yeah, no, I think we've kind of always thought that that needed to occur, and specifically that just more tiers. And I think more tiers would lead to more prizes. Like I think it's more tiers for more prizes,
It helps
not
with expectations too, because when people finish like fourth and they're like, "Oh, I can win an Mbappe," no, and realistically, you shouldn't. But you get that sense of hope or whatever, and then you see that it's like the bottom star card in the tier, and you get all pissed off. And
yeah.
I don't know.
I think there's this weird forgotten area of DNPs that have like a lot of value. Like we see the Ajax backup goalies who are U23, like what's his name, Gordler
I don't know.
or Stepford. I apologize for all the Ajax experts here, although they just signed Titan. So what are you going to do? But
That's the weirdest signing I've ever seen, right?
they just had to find somebody older than Stecklenburg and Pasveer, so that's where they ended up. Tony Miola is going to be next on the list,
Oh
but
man, there we go.
no, like those guys are expensive because people expect them to be, a starter somewhere, and they're young, but because they don't play, they don't end up in the rewards pools. And I think part of it is safety, that like you don't want somebody to, like, based on their prices, they should be like tier one cards,
Yeah.
maybe tier two. But like you don't want to win a tier one and be like, hey, here's a goalie that you might not be able to play for 3 years, but
Well, I remember I won Asako from, I don't know, he plays in J League.
yeah,
J League or K League?
yeah,
J League.
Hiroshima,
And
yeah,
when I won him, he was not the starter. And it was like a tier one, or it might even have been a star prize. And I was so mad, like just frustrated, like, he doesn't even play. And then
yeah.
like 3 months later, he was playing, and then I was happy. And then now I'm sad again. But that's the exact thing that you just talked about, where you win that card that's not starting, but they are like a high valued
Mhm.
prospect or whatever.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get the opposite. I got the U20, the tier one U23 goalie who had already lost his job and was never going to get it back, and is now no longer U23. So, if you want to, do you still have that Osako card? Because I would be happy to trade my
Yeah, I held on
worthless
to it.
Juan Romero. Yeah,
I imagine at some point, I mean, what is he, like 20 years old? At some point,
he's
he's
young.
going to be a U23 starting goalkeeper again.
That's what a lot of people are hoping this summer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so Mike was asking, like, at what point does a player become a DNP? Like, is it 2, 3, 4 games missed? And like, I know that the prize pools are set like 2 or 3 game weeks ahead of time, so it's certainly not in that time frame. But and I don't necessarily need the full transparency from Sorare. Like, I don't want to have this. It's not even a responsibility, but like I don't want there to be people every week being like, nope, this player should be in tier three now because he hasn't played in 3 games, and this one should be in tier four. Like, I don't think we need to worry ourselves with that. And I know that there are like a lot of people who examine rewards in terms of like how many are being given away and the quality of them. I'm just not sure that like we really need all that transparency. Like, to be honest, I mean, I don't think it's necessary, but for the number of like rewards conversations that go on, obviously some people want it, but I think from a rewards perspective, yeah, I'm not sure 4 is enough, but I don't know like what the number actually is.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't know, and I don't know that I like care that much.
Yeah, I mean, like the easiest thing to do is because really every actual argument about rewards is that they're not enough. Like that's really all people care about. They just want more. And you can be like, oh, well, I want more clarity on which cards get in which tier, and when if there's a cooldown on certain players, blah, blah, blah. Like, really, if they just gave us more, everybody like, okay, great. And these
But
DNPs, which
I disagree. People are just always going to complain no
you're,
matter what. No matter what, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be good
I
enough.
think they'll complain less.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's the case. But that's not actually why I wanted to talk about tiers today. Rewards really had nothing to do with it. What I wanted to talk about was how we all tricked ourselves into thinking these March scouting season special weeklies with average scores meant that tier 3 cards would have value. You're like, oh, because that's where all the tier 3 cards are. It's the guys who average 38 to 45 points. But looking at the scoreboard, the leaderboards, I saw a lot of star players in there. I had some in my own lineup, and so I think Sorare should give up on max score qualifiers for tournaments from now
I
on.
totally disagree.
Unlimited.
I love the max score. I think that this was a weird week where all of those cheat code cards that just slid under the 50 just totally popped off and destroyed. Like Lataro, TAA, Jonathan David was a big one. Those guys just all smashed this week. The last like 5 or 6 weeks, did they smash? No,
Apparently not.
They had good matchups and they smashed this week. I don't think it's always going to line up like that. The stars aren't always going to line that way. I think it's a good mechanism, and it's also a good mechanism for Sorare where like, okay, TAA had a good matchup this week. He was below the L50 or L5 of 50. It generates market activity and interest, and I mean there was so much interest around this special weekly, just on seeing people post on social media and everything. I thought it was great, and I think that the L50 or L5 average does work.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
But I think there's this belief that using max scores means that we're providing value, or we're getting more value on cards that are not as valuable.
Yeah.
But it's really just the extremely valuable cards of players who happen to not be playing well right now. And that's very different than trying to get the lower tier of cards to have more value.
I think that there's still lower tier guys that it helps. Like guys that might have like great matchups that particular week. And I don't think that it was ever like I don't think that it needs to be a way of giving value to those particular players. Like it doesn't have to just say like, here, this is going to make all of our tier 3s more valuable. We're going to do this. But I think that there are going to be guys that it does for that 1 week. Like you're probably going to show in this graph, they do pump for a little bit and then go back to where they were.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm the one who was making assumptions that were incorrect, but it just feels like part of the idea of max scores was cards that don't have a ton of value may have more. And like I wasn't part of a single conversation if somebody was like of finding like underappreciated guys who may not have been playing well, like literally tier 3 cards. It was like, oh, who were the star and tier 1 cards that fit? And that doesn't help tier 3 cards get any sort of value whatsoever. In fact, it pushes them even further down because now we don't have to look for them.
Yeah, I think for every case that we look at where one of those guys smashed, we're going to find ones where they didn't smash. Like Noah Lang.
This is Noah Lang right here.
Yeah, people were scooping him up like crazy probably for this special weekly. And what did he put out there? 40 points?
He was the most popular player.
He was the most popular player.
The most, yeah.
And I guess everybody got wrecked.
Yeah, he was terrible.
And he's going to be the most popular player. Well, I guess nobody's going to be the most popular player in this upcoming one with super rares. But he's going to be an interesting choice in this upcoming one.
Yeah. And they won 5-0, and he was like completely uninvolved.
Yeah.
Just a killer. But so if you think these are fine, do you think that they should also run like what I'm eventually getting to is I think they should have relatively consistent tournaments that just include tier 3 cards. And in order to do that, they have to really get their tiers set.
Yeah, like what is it? What is a tier 3? Like what is that?
Whatever's in the tier 3 prize pool. Like Sorare determines the player base basically. And so I want the ability to win at least tier one cards with five tier threes in a lineup. Like I think there's this draw of, if you do your research and you find out like, you scout the right players that are like really overlooked, which are basically like the tier threes. Like it's almost like a scouting competition more than anything else
Yeah, I think
because it's easy to.
Percho made a really good comment that I agree with, and I think that would be fine too. I think that would work perfectly. And he's talking about they should use the L15 instead of the L5. Unfortunately, L15 does not exist on Sorare, but maybe
No, it does now.
Oh, it does?
It does now.
On where?
On any, if you look in like the marketplace or anywhere, you can search by L15 now.
Oh,
Wonder where they got that idea.
interesting.
Wonder who else has it.
That is definitely there. It
L15.
is a search filter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like Lang wouldn't have qualified for this week.
Well, huge fan, and I think that we should see more of that. And I imagine TAA wouldn't have qualified either.
I would assume not. 60. He's at 52 now. I guess the 100 got him over the. Yeah. I guess, yeah. Just ultimately, that left like a weird thought in my head that just like I think the purpose of this competition wasn't achieved.
Do you think L15 though would be more aligned with tiers? Like, would it be closer to what you envision with the whole tier?
Maybe.
Tier system? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that solves it. I mean, you still get guys who have been hurt, like Neymar's L15 probably isn't. Well, it might be.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, all it takes is one game, right?
Well, so 50, so yeah, he's not even close. So like that's the other weird thing is that even with the L5, like it's not like it's your average over the last 5 game weeks, and if you don't play, then that doesn't hurt you
Right.
in terms of your like. Well, it hurts you if you're trying to go low, but like Memphis Depay had 4 DNPs and a 64 in his last 5. So like he was originally he originally qualified, and then when they wiped everything, he didn't because he had a 64. But like, should that? I mean, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
L15 seems like an easier solution than relying on their tiers.
And I think all the players that we just mentioned, like I just looked up Jonathan David as well, and he's 51 L15. So I think that like those are all the guys that everybody, and I won't even say everybody was mad about, but everybody is like kind of pointing towards. They didn't. I don't know. They were kind of like the expensive guys that kind of like just smashed this
Right.
game week, and yeah, he wouldn't have been eligible either.
Yeah, I guess that's just like it felt like I shouldn't have to scout to get to Noah Lang and Sebastian Coates and Lautaro Martinez. Like I know those guys are good. Like there's not. I'm just looking to make sure that they have an L5 below whatever. Like the
Right. So
scouting.
you're still scouting to find the best guys with the L5 less than 50, right?
Right. Right. It's like right.
Which you would be trying to like scout the best tier 3s anyway. So it's like the same thing, I think.
I mean, it's certainly more work to scout tier threes, which I think is like maybe that's not. Maybe the point was not to make people do that. We don't want people to have to play guys they've never heard of, so they just put it in the tiers. I think the other thing that bothered me about the L5 is that for some players it's not the L5, and that's just like a
The L2 to 6.
right, right.
Yeah, that's definitely annoying. Like if that were L15, you'd see less complaining about the L5. The L5 is just annoying because like there's always that one game that sets it off because it's there's only 5 data points, so one game can blow it up or bring it down.
Right. Well, like that's exactly what happened with Memphis, and I get like if they had a midweek game, like it helps with the weekend games because or the midweeks include or don't include the weekends, and so you're just like, oh, those are like the main games. But like, it's very different if a player goes from 5 DNPs to 4 and a 60. because now they don't qualify, and like you have to make sure those get in. But I don't know. I think I like the idea of tier based tournaments, and the only issue is that it relies on the tiers being accurate. Although I'll be honest, I think the tiers are better now than they've ever been in terms of like the players that qualify in each one.
I think so.
Like very rarely am I looking at somebody and I'm like, he definitely does not belong in this tier. And we had that a few months ago.
The tough ones, there are tough situations. Like I was talking to Jimmer today, and he told me that he had a friend that I think he pulled a tier 1 from Challenger, and he won Thomas Dildozer,
Oh,
Didillion, I
Padillion
don't know,
or yeah,
and I think he just broke his finger or something. So like those are the ones where it's like that's just bad luck.
yeah.
Because honestly, like how do you move them out of the tier so fast? Like how do you react to either an injury, market activity, or scores that quickly to get a player out of that tier
Mm-hmm.
beyond manual work?
Right. I mean, they don't have enough people to track every injury in the world anyway. Like,
And even if they did, and even if they tried, they would miss someone. It would
mm-hmm.
get rewarded, and then it would be 10 times worse.
Right. Yeah, I do think that they set the tiers too early, but like technically I don't know how difficult it is anyway. Meaning like if they could do it one game week ahead, I'm sure they would. I think it's just I don't know. I don't know. But I noticed that Teo Bonganda is now a tier 2, at least in limited.
Yeah.
And the only reason like why I was somewhat or not completely surprised is because I've gotten like 1,000 price notifications of his over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Everybody jumping ship, but
Yeah, the limited market is so elastic. Like everything moves so much faster in that market. It feels like.
I just meant even rares.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, like I have I don't even know what the price is. I have it set to, but he's fallen dramatically.
Hmm.
I mean, he has barely been playing, so that probably has or barely. Oh, no, he had a goal last weekend or something, some DA.
Mike Baston mentioned Bodart. Yeah, that's tough. Where he's just like, I guess he is out of favor now, and it's hard to like how do you move him out of that tier within like one game week?
Yeah,
I mean, and if they're trying to use like data to do that, like what if he was just rested for a game? Like maybe it's a Europa game or something. Like Pau Lopez, you see that one DNP for, a Europa Conference League game where they're starting Mandana. Like, oh, now all of a sudden is here tier 3 because he rested the one game. Like if you're trying to react fast, is that going to be how you move them? That's not great.
I think there's too much to have a manual oversight of it. Like you obviously want somebody to like kind of check them, but you still need a lot of data to help that. Like this past game week, there were like 2,700 rewards in All Star Limited. Like you can't have somebody just like manually check every single reward every game week. And like I guess you could check to see, like which players, but then you still need like a list of guys like, oh, we should take this player out. But I mean, they said they were taking all the Russian Premier League players out this week. I haven't seen anyone say they got one, so I assume they got it right. But that's like not a it's just not like a feasible thing to have however many people go through literally tens of thousands of rewards every week to make sure that every single one is right.
Yeah,
Which is probably why they do it weeks ahead of time.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I said, even if they try, like I think that they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. Like if they try to do it manually, they're going to miss stuff, and then Sam over here in chat is going to be all angry about it. And then if they try to use like data to do it, they're also going to miss things, and people are still going to be mad. So um, people are always going to be mad about rewards, and they're always going to be mad about the tiers.
Well,
tiers.
maybe not when there's tier 4. Yeah, I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them incorporate the tiers more, as much as like I said, I think they have gotten a lot better with the tiers, and I think having tier based competitions, like I think there are enough people on the platform that would be interested in that. But
Do you
maybe I'm
think that
wrong.
they should? Do you think they should only do that for the special weekly, or what if they had that within each region? So like you could play Champion Europe Tier 3.
I I think it would be great. I don't think there are enough rewards for it.
Yeah.
So like that was speaking of that. So going back to the Russian Premier League players, the of and having people like find a quick negative out of a seemingly positive thing. So I was there. I saw some conversation on Twitter about how they were taking they were not going to reward Russian Premier League players anymore. And somebody was like, "Yeah, I heard them say that." And it was like, "Well, did they say that? Like, did Sorare say it specifically?" And somebody from Sorare confirmed it. And then the question was like, "Well, if they take those players out of the prize pool, does that mean there are going to be fewer rewards?" And they're like, "No, it's going to be the same number of rewards, but they're just going to take out the Russian Premier League players and fill them in with others."
Hmm.
So the immediate response is, "Why aren't those other ones already in there? Like, if you can reward more from here, why aren't we doing that?" And it was
Yeah.
like, and I was like, "Come on, guys, let's." Well, that's kind of a good point, actually. That was like my response, and I like it's just odd to be like, "Oh no, we're just going to take these rewards from over here," and it's like, well, then why aren't they in there already? I don't know
Yeah.
what the answer is.
Um, Olympic manager. Surely the marketplace is a good measure of a player's worth. Could tiers not be sorted by this value? Yeah, I think it's already in the calculation. So it's they've never really said what the calculation is, but I think it's involved in the calculation somehow. But even then, you have outliers. You have market activity where somebody's selling something for some stupid amount, or they're transferring things for a ridiculous amount, or they're buying the one of whatever, and the Wondolowski for 1 ETH, or like a random jersey mint, like
Mm-hmm.
oh he's jersey mint 6, or some people just like 69 mints.
Or it's a incorrect posting and it's slurped up by a bot.
Yeah,
Like there are a lot of things that have issues there. But I think that is part of what they like part of the formula is certainly market value. Like we've seen
right.
cards that and I think that's where some people start to get upset when they're like, "Oh, this card isn't a tier 1 anymore because the price has dropped." And it's like, "Well, it was already in the pool. So next time," like I've seen people complain, I've probably done it myself, where like you win like a tier 1 and then next week it's a tier 2
Yeah,
and you're like, "Oh, come on." It's like, "Well, it's what happens." I'm sure there are plenty of people who've won. I mean, Jimmer probably more than anybody else has won tier 3s that turn into stars. So
yeah.
I think that's just kind of what happens.
I
So
think I think Mike's right on. Those RPL cards will just dominate the reward pools as soon as they're added back in, and
hopefully they're back in soon, because the
yeah.
war's over.
Oh
That's
yeah, I guess that's what that would mean. So yeah, hopefully soon.
yeah. Uh, so you just don't have this enthusiasm for the tiers as I do.
Yeah, I really don't like. I just, especially when it comes to like the special weekly. And I think that it's more like maybe if there was something visually on my cards that like I could tell what they were. Um, but I guess almost like the L5 that I see on my card, I see that little, the number associated with them. Maybe if there was a tier marking on them, that would be helpful, and
Hmm.
I would be less bashful.
Right. That's an interesting idea. Hmm. Pat's brought up that I know why these other rewards were not already included. Oh well. I guess they just have to sell them.
Is it still a thing where the rookie cards aren't in the prize pools?
No, I've won a rookie.
Okay. Have you won a rookie yet that didn't have the rookie foil thing on it?
No, no. Actually, maybe. Most of these rookies I don't know, so maybe I did get one
Yeah.
and I just didn't even know he was a rookie.
That was another thing this week where I guess they made an error with all the rookie cards and none of them have the rookie thing on them anymore.
Yeah, it's just weird because it's like, I mean, I won't begin to pretend I know how these things get designed and minted, but it was like cards that had the rookie and then they stopped having them.
Yeah.
And then did you bring up that maybe those are actually more valuable because they don't have the
Oh,
rookie?
I was kidding, but like if they only make like one of those, then I have I don't know
Right.
the hobby that I don't know that doesn't have the rookie card thing on it.
Yeah. So it's like a unique,
Yeah,
like the
well,
Acevedos. Oh
it's
no,
a
they made
one
a
of
bunch of
one.
those.
Yeah, the tiny heads. So we were actually having a conversation about that, and I don't know if it was you or I might have been Trip and B, somebody I was talking to. And do you think that that's maybe they're trying to get the logos off because those Liga MX jerseys are just covered in
Covered.
advertisements and like they look like NASCAR drivers. So could it be that like someone reached out and they were like, "Hey, you can't show that logo on that card anymore. Or you can't make those cards with the logo."
Um, I think that's a reasonable. I think that's a reasonable response. What I thought was strange. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up here because I re- Alfonso Davies has had like multiple. Here we go.
It's never a thing where you see like more of the player's kit. It's always less. Like
Always
the head,
less. Yeah,
yeah.
you're right about that.
And maybe this was like they wanted to get T-Mobile out of the Davies.
But then they went back.
Oh,
But it's definitely. I mean, it's clearly a different picture. It's like he had another picture taken, and then they went back. I don't know. It's
hmm.
I can't I can't decide how I feel about any of these cards. I really like the ones where it's like just the player from up here and then the rest of the card is blank. Like I've bid on a few of those. Like I like them.
What the tall ones or the short ones?
No, no, no. The ones where it's like the equivalent of the Davies picture, but you only see his eyes and the rest is just the yellow honeycomb.
Mm.
I'm trying to think of somebody who had it. Zarky, you still here? Because I sent you one once. Red Panda, Jared Bowen is the one with mustard on his shirt. I forget who has that card. Is it
Yeah,
Jimmer?
somebody in chat though had the Bowen mustard shirt card
You're right. It was somebody in chat or
because they
chat
were
members.
asking. They were like, is
Is
this
this a
more
unique?
valuable?"
Yeah, but yeah, I don't think like I think these are fun little wrinkles. That's all.
Yeah.
But there's
Well, the
just some.
Acevedo one is absurd. You got to pull it up, and I mean, it's ridiculous.
I think, yeah. I mean, obviously the.
I mean, come on, that looks like an old video game from like the '80s, and you put the cheat code in, and now you have tiny head mode.
Good call.
Yeah.
Would you like it if they ran a special weekly where you got extra points for tiny heads?
Hmm. I mean, sure, I'd play in that.
I wish I could remember who. I think a rare Carlos Acevedo recently was drowning on auction.
Uh,
Oh, maybe I. Did they fix all the rares?
I
Oh,
don't know.
they
I've
must.
noticed recently all the images pulling from Sorare are taking a while
Yeah, I was told it was a.
on Sorare site too.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just go back to the tiny heads. Yeah, I don't know what the issue has been recently. GoldenEye 007 big head mode.
Yeah. Got to play his odd job though,
Mm-hmm.
because
Ooh,
he's
Sam, I
short.
like that. Carlos Acevedo or Hedo. Honey, I Shrunk the Goalie. I think I like these a lot. That's all.
Pap, are you saying that this was definitely manual? That they did this on purpose, or were you talking about something else? Because this is
Oh,
just it. I don't know. It just seems so weird.
all right. Zarky said Zarky Boo's got a couple. All right. I definitely sent him once before. Zarky Poo designed the best card I've ever seen on Sorare. Well, not on Sorare. The best Sorare card I've ever seen that doesn't exist. But his Sangare AFCON card. Wonder where. There was definitely a tweet about that
Oh
somewhere.
yeah, I did see that.
It was so cool.
Hmm.
But yeah, the disappearing ones. Ishmaeli, I think, has one. It is one guy that presses a button to print. Oof. Wonder if I can pull those out.
Well, it must have been Homer Simpson this week, and he got the little bird that presses the button over and over and over again.
Like, do you think there's like some sort of mass printing, which is why I really thought it was Ishmaeli who had. Maybe they caught it early. Oh, there he is. So like
Yeah,
these cards. Sorry for those listening. Which card number is that?
yeah. This
If
is going to be an
everybody,
awful podcast to listen to.
Yeah, it really is. It's a very visual podcast. Apologies, guys. But yeah, Ishmaeli, 158 of 1,000
Hmm.
is just basically his nose up and then the yellow honeycomb. Like, I like that card. Point 006, someone got it for. That is an absolute steal.
Now, would you be upset if you were playing, I don't know, and you finished in second place, and the guy that finished in first had this scam of a card?
Like, he won it or he was
No,
playing it?
he's using that card to beat you.
No,
It doesn't even
I'd be
have
like,
the
you know
full
what? Well
information.
played. You deserve it. Like, I would love to lose to a lineup that had this, like,
Five
all
of those
five,
guys.
like, just broken cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want. The oh, the Enzo card is the best card on the platform, though. Not Enzo.
Yeah, Enzo Perez.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Give him the
yeah,
thumbs up. Yeah, that's a good one for sure. That's the best one on the platform.
yeah. And
In
I
fact,
do love those Vandevort ones too. Those like action shots where they realize they were like, oh, we don't have.
he's
We
like
didn't
given
break.
like one of these, like staring off into the.
It's better than the Murich ones where he's just like looking off to the side. I mean, it's his whole team. He's just like looking off to him, like, where are you looking?
I think it's Velez in Argentina. All those cards have like a bluish hue to them, and
Yeah,
I always think that they look like they're either corpses or they're like from the Adams family.
yeah. Lampe looks like that.
Yeah.
You know, Dylan. I think Dylan has one. Yeah, yeah. Dynamic images will be awesome. Like, I have to imagine they do it at some point, right?
Please, like the
Or maybe
most.
they don't. They just use the moments everywhere at some point.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about moments. Like I almost think action, like really cool action shots, would be better than moments. And maybe that's like such an unpopular thing. Like I saw how popular Top Shot was. People loved that. But to me, I just really feel like the I don't know, custom images would be really cool, and that's me growing up from the baseball card era.
Yeah, like yeah, I like this Vandevort. But see, the thing is, it's like the Vandevort one where he's looking off. It's in a game. Like, it's not even that great of a picture. Like, it's just
Yeah,
him staring off into something, but it's just
right.
different. So we're just
And
like, ooh, cool.
yeah, we like that one so much, and it's just like such a normal looking image.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, just a picture of a guy. And so, yeah, Zora
Like the
brings up that yeah, you need to own the rights to get different game pictures. But I bet the clubs take enough pictures that they have access to give away in a NFT license.
or even like, could you do training ground stuff? I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I always thought the Joseph card is like, and I'm like so mad at myself because I have a Joseph Martinez card, and I don't own the cool one. where he's like really angry and yeah.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
are fun.
celebrations would look cool too. Yeah. Like, what is he so mad about in that picture?
Is that a new picture actually?
No.
I mean, back to the old one. So you have the ponytail one?
Yeah.
Hmm.
The man bun.
Right. Well, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think they're fine.
Man, we went off on a tangent off
Yeah, what are
of
we talking
way
about here?
off of tears.
I knew there was no way we were sticking on the tiers conversation.
Yeah. So how'd you do in the special weekly this week?
I won a tier 3 limited.
Okay.
I
And
don't
and
know.
and
I
what
don't,
was your lineup like? Like, did you have
it wasn't any good. I
no?
had Noah Lang
Yeah.
and
How'd your
Coates.
how'd your captain choice go?
I was Lang.
Yeah. Wrong captain.
Yeah. Shabilko didn't score. I had a monster. Here it is. I had a monster goalie score from Okoye.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I got or what did Coates get? Oh, just an all around. But like it was just like guys.
Yeah. I
Oh, no, I
mean,
didn't win a reward. I take it back. I must have fallen low. I was 6 points short.
so what was the thought process on Casper there?
I just had him.
The Philadelphia was playing who?
Orlando at home. No, no, no. Chicago. Chicago. No,
At
Chicago was playing Orlando. He plays for Chicago now.
well, yes, of course. Um, and they were Chicago was at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems good.
It was fine. Like, I talked about it with Sean on Friday. Like, I wasn't going to put too much thought into this lineup for how difficult it was to win. And seeing the lineups that won, I was just like, okay, yeah, that seems fine. Like, I'm good. I wasn't like killing other lineups to make this one.
Yeah, Johnny. MLS forwards. What kind of budget do you want? Like the best possible guys, or do you want like? I mean, I guess it really depends on what you're trying to do there.
I think the best summer forwards may not even be in MLS.
Ah, there you go.
That's all. I don't have any
Always
other.
those freaking Monero guys. I don't know a
Hulk.
single one of them, and they just freaking smash.
Yep.
And Hulk's one of those guys. I won Hulk, and then I immediately sold him because I was like, there's just something about like a 36-year-old guy that scares me, and
Mm-hmm.
he, everybody that owns him is just gonna like smash with him, and I'm gonna be mad.
Hulk smash? No way.
Yeah,
Hulk was like one of the first limiteds I bought when I was like, oh, I can get guys that I can't afford anywhere else. Let me buy Hulk. He's fine. Yeah, Chani, go to Argentina or Brazil.
yeah. I think there's a River Plate forward that you like, Laird.
I do like Julian Alvarez. He's not there for long though. And frankly, I don't even play him in America. I mean, I am now,
Right?
but
Did
yeah,
you play him this past week?
I did. Captain.
And what was the deal there? He was feeling dizzy or something during warm-ups, I think.
Dizzy in warm-ups. Like, what is that? How does that happen? There's my Alvarez lineup.
I don't know. If I were dizzy in warm-ups, I would, and I feel like the coach would appreciate me telling him.
I mean, playing dizzy seems like a bad idea. Yeah, Chani, he was like dizzy in warm-ups, that's all. Sam, I was very excited after the Okoye banger to open the game week.
Ooh, I've got a good question based on that. So, do you ever intentionally play or not play guys that play like on a Friday before like the big week starts, or what's your opinion going into Friday games, like when you have guys that play on Friday?
I was talking to Sean about this the other day, on Friday, because I was giving him a hard time because he was saying how Lautaro Martinez couldn't score 100 and then he banged like a 99.
Mm.
And I absolutely hate Friday games. Like, I like the games. I hate having guys on Friday. I particularly hate having like multiple guys in a lineup on a Friday because like if things go well and you're like near the top and you're just like the whole weekend is just going to be like the slow turn down, down, down. I would, if all of my players could play Monday night, I'd be all for it.
I'm telling you what. So I agree with Daniel on that. Like I own all of these like Santos
Yeah.
and Atlas guys. I almost always get the late sweat. So I get the game week enders, and there's nothing better than like having a full stack of guys running on that last day of the game week because and 9 times out of 10 they do nothing and they lose. You know, they lose and I don't get anything. But
Right.
there's something really fun about having those late sweats.
You know who plays a lot of late Monday games? Hulk.
Oh, does he?
Like Minero,
God.
I just know was it I think it was El Cid was like one of the first like Minero stackers. And I remember like they play late enough where like I'm not even paying attention Monday. And I see like all these scores. I'm like, oh sweet. And then all of a sudden you wake up Tuesday and you're like, a Minero stack scored 470? What? You're like, yep. In a 1-0 win. Like those guys just absolutely pound the points. And yeah, they're like late Monday. It's always there.
Yeah, I
You're
agree,
saying
Sam. Mangalo is a fun sweat. He's always playing
yeah.
those late Thursday, Monday games.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Basil loves that Mineiro
Well,
stack.
he's a,
Sid is the other guy. Sid loves it too.
mm-hmm.
You guys just
Yeah.
clean up.
It's I just remember like early on, I'm like, oh, that's a weird one.
Yeah.
And then it was like 450, 470, 470. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. And then I bought the limited stack because
Do you
that's
win
it.
anything with it?
I think so.
I think towards the end of the season, they were not nearly as good as they were so dominant at the beginning / middle of the season, and then I think they kind of like tailed off a little bit.
They just had games where like it looked like everyone had 70, like
Yeah.
minimum 70. And so it was Iaxian, if you will.
It's going to become like an official Sorare term at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they'll stop stacking anyway. But the yeah, I definitely the later the games the better. Although I will say so it happened to me this past weekend where I had like one really good lineup and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "But it's kind of early." I think it was PSV played Saturday and I had a PSV stack in U23. And I was like, "Oh, I wonder if this can hold." And then I like look at some of my other lineups and like nobody had played yet. And that's when I was like, "Oh, it's just so many games I have to get through in order to reach to for this to like hold on." And so
There really is nothing worse than like even on Saturday, like end of day Saturday, being in like a podium spot, and then just knowing that there's 100 games left, and like even if you have a good cushion, nothing's good. Nothing good is coming. There
no,
is nothing good coming. Only tears, only
here's
tears.
there we go. The worst is like when I go to like I click the unfinished lineups only and like nothing changes and I'm like, ah, there's just so many lineups still.
Hmm.
I mean, it's getting to the point where it's easier for me to know points wise if I have a shot. If I'm like, if you're first but you're at 380, like you're not winning with 380 unless it's some weird midweek. But like for how much we look at points needed for rewards, that's put like how my teams do in a lot more perspective. That like we had talked about this. I forget what lineup it was. Like one of my lineups came up like just short, and I was like, man, I wish I had. It's too bad I didn't get close. And then I'm like, that being said, like one of my players had like 26, and like I'm in the opinion that like if you have a player that has a 26, you shouldn't get a reward.
You shouldn't, or you don't deserve.
You don't deserve it. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. 400s and a
It's like if
26.
I'm in the if I'm in the prize, like if I'm in the prizes with a 26 in my lineup, I'm not gonna like turn away the card.
Correct. Correct.
Bring it
Yeah.
on.
But I don't even remember. It was, I mean, one of these terrible lineups I had this week.
Like that would have been such a good lineup right there with Alvarez. How far off were you from rewards with that? Still
91.
91. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess
So like
Acosta and Santos.
Acosta scored 49. I'm like, I don't know if you
Yeah,
should get a reward in rare pro with a 49,
yeah, that's fair.
even with a super rare. But I mean, he was captain too. 90 was in
He
play.
has scored a goal, right?
He did, and Armani saved a penalty.
Ah.
Like
Did he really save a penalty though?
he did, he actually saved that one.
Did you see the
Yes,
video? Like you have the evidence of this.
that's a good point. No, I did not actually see it. I didn't. No.
That might be something for people to check up on, whether he actually saved one or not.
Yeah, I think it becomes a thing if he saves every penalty he faces, and clearly,
Yeah.
like the Opta score is just like, oh yeah, yeah, that's fine. Sam, you're right. 69.8 is a pretty poor score with a goal. Yeah, he had a bad all around.
Was it a PK? No,
Nope. Well,
for
if
some
Diaz
reason I thought it might
had
have been.
no, if Diaz had penalties, that would be
Well,
it.
he wouldn't if like Alvarez or DLC or anybody else was playing. I'm telling you, they're going to be the most frustrating team to own players
Yeah.
on. I feel like,
Hmm.
and
The worst is
maybe not,
when
maybe
I
not
bought
certain
into this
guys like
stack. They
Alvarez.
were
I don't think will be frustrating.
well, yeah. Hopefully he fit. But yeah, when I bought that stack, like there was no rotation ever. It was
Yeah.
awesome. They just played all the time.
Yep.
Played them into the ground until De La Cruz's legs just fell off, and now I'm paying the price.
That poor knee. It's
What was a
it's
calf?
it's shit. Oh well, yeah, he had a blood clot in the calf, but he's been icing that knee. That's been what they've been icing.
How big was the ice pack?
Uh,
Was it
fairly large,
fairly large?
medium
Like
sized.
like the full wraparound?
Yeah.
That's never good,
No.
unless it is. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I just want to use my tier threes somewhere. Why do I have all these tier three cards if I can't use them?
Is there ever like a? I kind of mentioned like a permanent game mode. What if they went to maybe playing what if's a bad idea here, but what if they did never right? What if they did like single scarcity, which I know everyone hates, and then under each single scarcity they had two divisions, one that was like open and one that was like tier two max.
Yeah, give it to me.
You're in,
Yeah, I'm
and you
in.
can play both of them.
Yeah, I
Because I
love
don't
it.
think that they would have to expand prizes much for like something like that to happen.
Right.
Because like the D3 would disappear, and you'd kind of just shuffle those rewards maybe into each. I don't know.
I think being able to provide more utility for cards that nobody really wants to play is a positive.
Yeah.
And I don't think the average max average score solves that problem.
So let's say we have a division where tier two is the best player that you can enter. Should you be able to win a star? Um, uh, should you be able to win a star, or should it just be like you can only win tier ones or tier twos?
I'm fine not being able to win a star, but I think you should be able to win the tier above where you like. Even if you could just win tier twos, at least you're winning something better than what you
Yeah, it's
entered.
progressing you per se, I guess. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
But like first place, I feel like should always be a star.
I mean, have always thought that
Yeah.
also, but like,
I think I
sure.
heard you say that, and I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. It should always like first place should always be a star.
It just seems so weird to me that,
And even like
especially for how big the star tier is now.
like the super rare divisions, like D2 or super rare division,
Yeah.
like that should be give them the super rare prize, and then give them a star rare as well.
Well, they used to do that, right?
Yeah,
The double reward. So Mike
and
was
then no
saying,
ETH.
right. Well, yeah. Mike's saying, what about star limiteds in the tier two rare league? So I was talking to
Yeah,
somebody about this, about how the weekly is the only place where they have multiple scarcities as prizes. Like you can't enter something where anything else where you can win like rares or limiteds. It's just the special weekly. And I always thought it was very strange that the special weekly went from whatever the top prizes were to tier 3 super rares, tier 3 rares, and tier 3 limiteds. Like that's basically what they do. And I have basically convinced myself that the reason they do this is because it looks really bad that like star limiteds are worth more than tier 3 super rares. Like you shouldn't.
Yeah.
So like should you finish, like if you finish higher and they even gave you a choice, like most people are not taking the super rare when they like really think of it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why they don't do mixed scarcity prizes much. Or if they do, then it's like the same tier of cards, but they just like theoretically a tier 3 limited should not be worth more than a tier 3 super rare. So that's why they keep the tier consistent. But I
Yeah.
feel but ultimately like that always felt like the easiest way for them to give more rewards is just throw limiteds to everywhere else.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good answer. Is like you win the super rare division and you get a star limited and I think Mike even threw that out there, or maybe he didn't, but you get a star limited and whatever super rare card is normally there, just to kind of like bump D2 a little bit, because D2, like everybody hates D2. What if that would be like kind of an artificial way to just like bump it a little bit?
So here's the immediate problem I see with that is that I think a lot of people who play limited don't want people who play super rare to play limited,
Yeah.
and now you're giving them the best cards to play limited.
Right. And like, a kick in the ass to go do it. Here's the
Right.
best card, build around it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair argument. I've
I
got
don't
nothing
think
to
it's
counter it.
I think it's an argument. I don't know how fair it is. Because like I'm somebody who doesn't think you should be prohibited from playing anything. That was like one of the first things that like I definitely thought that originally that like if you play the unique division, why are you playing limiteds? But I also don't think you should be you're not I don't want to say the utility, but I don't think anybody should be kept from buying what they want to buy if they can
Yeah.
buy it.
Yeah.
That's all. Jimmer convinced me that very early on in a podcast that we did with him. That I think it was back. I was talking about this the other day. Actually, it was back when they were saying when they had the academy and not like the fantasy football scout academy, but the academy, which was the precursor to the progression bar that sure any day now is coming out.
Soon.
But the idea was like if you played the academy, then you couldn't play D3. At the time, it was D3, and I was kind of one of those people who was in between. Like I think I just started playing D3, so I like wasn't all that competitive. And it was like, oh, well, if I have to make a choice, then now I have cards I have to sell. Like I have no use for super rares if I'm going to play D4 in the academy.
Yeah.
So now I have to sell my super rares that I just, saved up for it. Or now I can't play in the academy and I have all these cards that theoretically could fit there, but now they don't. And I don't know. Jimmer has always been like a not big on limiting utility.
Yeah,
Utility.
and I think when you limit utility, you start incentivizing bad behavior. Like, oh, I can't play that, then I'll find another way to go play that.
Yeah. My wife is going to play now.
Right. And she's just going to play limiteds.
With all the limiteds I have. I gifted her for our anniversary.
Mike said that they should maybe give away Legends cards as prizes in some of those divisions. I think he's making a joke against those a little bit.
Why not give them away?
Yeah. Would you be happy to win one right now?
I would be happy if they were tier 4.
Well, I guess they haven't been in the prize pool, right?
They have?
No, they haven't been in the
Oh yeah,
press.
no.
Yeah. Hmm.
I also not heard because I experienced it as well, but you can't put them in training anymore.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
Who knows?
Yeah.
No. Sorare haven't told us anything about Legends.
Well, the Game Jam's gonna bring them utility
Oh, that's
soon.
right. That's right.
Game Jam.
Maybe
When's the
Game
game?
Jam, no XP on Game Jam. So they were just like, doesn't even matter if you train
They
them.
didn't want any unfair advantages in Game Jam. Let's see here. Game Jam. When is that going to be done?
How many
Uh,
ideas do you think were actually submitted?
whew. um,
Like, I thought you had to like actually put the work in. It wasn't just like sending them an idea.
yeah. No, you have to develop whatever it is. It says participants will have a month to develop their prototypes and submit them on March 4th.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's 4 days ago. We should have some fun mobile games of PK, flipping pancakes, and I don't know, some of your other favorite Legends cards, dodging, I don't know, Pokeballs.
Angry Birds, but
You
so
gotta
rare
you gotta
cards.
flick a Pokeball at your soccer card. Would you play
Sounds
that
fun.
game?
No.
Hmm.
Nanzo was asking if isn't playing every competition the goal.
Yeah, I think that's like when you feel like you're like a completionist almost, like you've done it. You've got to where you've got it all covered. I agree.
It's just maybe that's not really reasonable though. Like you can't
Yeah, but
expect.
which direction though? Like for someone like Nanzo who's playing unique right now and they release this new limited division, his goal is probably to play everything.
Yeah, that I agree with. I just meant it. It shouldn't. I don't think you can. I don't think you can market it that like everybody's goal should be to play everything.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that like market it that way, but like I think a lot of users like think that like I want to play as much as I can, for
Yeah,
instance. I want to play as many divisions as I can.
yeah, that makes sense. Chani, I have no idea when David Ochoa is back.
No clue. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, we're not. I don't have him, so if he never comes back, I know you are heavily invested.
Yeah, don't say that.
You're one
I'm
of a
just really
hundred.
excited for this Game Jam. This should have been the podcast name should have been Game Jam. Ooh, how about like an NBA Jam variant? You have your Legends cards.
We'll come up
Right
with our
here.
game jam pun.
Yeah.
I might need a full week to come up with something there.
Maybe we can talk to Sorare and they can have us like release the Game Jam ideas.
Oh,
That'd be fun. We can play them on stream.
do they do they even get the ideas?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, there were a lot of fun cheat codes to like circle back to what we were talking about before. A lot of fun cheat codes in the NBA Jam games.
That's true.
Yeah, gotta smash the keyboard and see what you get.
Do you think do you think a good idea will come out of Game Jam?
Mm-mm.
No.
I have zero. I've got zero hope for anything good coming out of that.
I'm not a big game player anyway. Like mobile phone. Like, yeah.
I'd be all over something that was like appealing, fun, whatever. I just, how are you going to take these like? The whole idea is legend card utility, right?
I think so.
Like, how are you going to take those and turn them into like a something that's compelling?
I mean, it's not our job to come up with it. That was what the contest was for.
I just can't fathom them anyone coming up with something where I'm like, yeah, that's exciting. I want to do this.
Let me go buy a few more.
Yeah. I also don't know that like I love the idea of them like you getting the score of the guy from that week on that team for the random special weeklies. Um, I have no good. I don't have any good ideas on how like those legend cards can be used.
I mean, I didn't submit anything to Game Jam. I didn't look for a developer to be like, "Hey, I got this sweet idea."
No, I don't even mean with Game Jam. Like,
Whoa.
like even integration into like So Rare as we know it. Like, I I think that the idea that they had was bad, where you get the score of the player from the team or whatever. Uh, but I don't have anything. I don't have any better like ideas for utility around them either.
Do you think they would have sold if they told us they had no utility at all?
Yeah, for sure. And in fact, like I almost feel like they should have just said that. Like they don't have utility. We're exploring like because they did that with coaches
I was gonna
cards.
say they did that already. Yeah.
People were annoyed with it, but at least they didn't dig themselves a hole. Like they dug themselves a hole in these Legends cards where now people expect something. They paid
Hmm.
a lot more money because they were even given like kind of kind of like the game plan of how they were going to be used. They were
Right.
not even game plan. They were told specifically how the scoring was going to work on those things, and now we're not seeing it. And I think people are ticked off. Like I don't know. There might need to be like if they don't end up coming up with something, then maybe you can turn those in and get your money back. That's
Yeah,
not me.
I think XP training from game jams. Hmm.
Ooh, I would be good with that. Like legends, maybe like when you train your players with a legend, they get like tons more XP. Like that's a good idea. I love it. And if it's a limited, you get less. If it's
Right.
rare, you get more. Super rare, you get even more. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And it's simple, basic utility, and like I don't know. I feel like that's something at least.
I'm with you. I like that
Yep.
idea. I think messing with XP is just probably too difficult. But again, it's not something that we have to figure out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Special weekly once a month where you need like 3 legends or something might be a bad. But yeah, I don't know. It just and like you put 3 legends in and then what? Is it are they going to still do the thing where you get the score from the best forward on their team or best position player of the guy on the team? I don't
And
know.
then
Just
theoretically, like so many lineups have three of the exact same player.
yeah. And then the other weird thing to me was like they still sold limited rares, super rares. Like, are we just going to allow all of the scarcities into the special weekly? Or are they going to do ones where it's only the rare ones and then I can't play because I bought the limited one?
Right.
I don't know.
Did they sell super rares? They did?
Yeah. I think that isn't there unique legends?
I don't know if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. I'll look later.
Yeah. I was not expecting this conversation to end up on legends.
What tier should a legend be?
That's tier four, actually. It's funny you say that.
But
Tier
they're the
four is
best.
legend.
They're the best players to ever play the game. Shouldn't
Mhm.
they be tier 0?
Tier -1. Yeah. What if tier four is actually the best tier?
Mm,
That's superstar tier. And there are only four players in it.
that would be confusing.
It's Haaland, Mbappe, Messi, and Ronaldo.
You put Ronaldo in there, huh?
I don't know. It's legends. I don't know.
Yeah. Progress bar. That's one of my favorite bars. Let's go to the progress bar.
Let's hit it. Definitely. Free drinks until 6. So we obviously are no longer talking about tiers or anything in particular. So I'm just going to just cut us off here.
Oh, come on.
We've hit our hour and 10 minutes. I think we've gone long enough on a topic that obviously wasn't what we wanted to actually discuss.
Hmm.
Was it? I don't know.
I don't know.
We never got to the.
I think when we were coming up with ideas for this week, you mentioned tiers, and I was like, sure, yeah, whatever.
Mhm.
There wasn't really any hot topics after that Blackpool one.
That one's still kind of going on too.
You want to rehash that?
No. Congrats to Mark on the Ansu Fati unique auction today, though.
Oh, did he win that today?
He did.
Or buy that today, I guess?
Yes. 88.888 ETH. And then we've got Florian Wirtz on Friday, who I think will be higher than that.
You think it'll be higher than Vinicus Jr.?
I do. I think he's going to be the second highest ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really close. I don't know. I'll say under, just to be, different.
Mm-hmm. That's fine. I think it'll still be under that Weston McKennie rare one that with the Ronaldo unique thrown in.
Yeah.
That bundle was up there. But anyway, thank you to everybody for joining us in the chat. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting the like button, somehow that helps immensely. So if you could do that, if you're watching the replay, you can hit that like button as well. And for anyone listening to the audio version, apologies for how much of this was a visual podcast. Hopefully we described and explained enough of what we were doing that you guys kept up. But if you guys could rate and review the podcast wherever you listen, we would appreciate that as well. I will be back on Friday with Sean. We've got a new idea that we're going to start on Friday that I think people will find very interesting. And then Andy and I will be back next week with a different topic. If there's anything you'd like us to discuss, feel free to hit us up. I'm on Twitter. I'm at Andrew M. Laird. Andy is at ablack86, also available in some various Discords, particularly the Sorare one. If you're in that, I think I'm Andrew M. Laird or Lairdinho there. Andy is under Black. So thank you again for joining us. And Andy, I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. See you.